Hey, welcome to this night session. I can put it that way because it's pretty late for me. It's 11 p.m. on, well, I'm about to end the day. So, hi, welcome. And first of all, as all streams I do, I want to test my mic. I want to test the audio, the video. So I know that internet connection it's that quite stable sometimes. So it doesn't matter if the screen gets frozen and everything. What it does matter is that you can hear me, right? So if anything, you want me to repeat something or share again anything during the presentation, well, during the workshop, etc., I can do it, no problem. And I am pretty excited to have many comments here for the first for segundo, and that's extra points for the Spanish, and some hellos here. So I see some familiar names, Yashi404, and getting used to you, MRC Clueless up. So that's really, really cool tick. A click ticks here, Scart O. So, yo, uh, Parnav, Pranav, sorry. It's really cool to have you here. Yeah, you got the extra credit. Uh, well, you have two Alberto points for that. I'm going to start giving point like if this is Howard's. That's a question. What's the points? So what do Howard students get with the points? I'm curious now. But okay, it doesn't matter. If anyone knows, let me know here in the comments. And you know why we are here. We are here to know how to, well, to learn how to build an API because this is API week using Node.js. Because let's face it, JavaScript rules, JavaScript is the best. And I want to start this with a little story of why JavaScript rules, why JavaScript is the best. And over the times where internet was just starting, it was not a big thing, and etc. Well, there was a fight for the language that will um, be the, how to say, like the ruler of the web. Um, there were dark moments in which Internet Explorer, Microsoft, and all companies were like competing to see, like in the internet wars, just to say it somehow. And we have seen the rise of this beautiful language, which is JavaScript. But after that, sorry, before that, there was Mocha. Um, what was the other one? JavaScript had another name that was so weird, but well, the main idea here is that in those times it was released something called Node, and Node give JavaScript the advantage, the superpower of not just being able to run on the web, because we have JavaScript engines. Yes, we have B8. If you have heard of it, we have Spider Monkey. We used to have Spider Monkey. We used to have many JavaScript engines. Right now, V8 it's like the best, and well, uh, we realized at some point, why don't we start collaborating and make this engine better. Even Firefox, I'm big fan of Firefox. Before, Firefox used the Spider Monkey, but now they are adopting V8. But the thing here is that only JavaScript used to live on the web browser, on internet, let's say that way. But actually, it's the web browser. Um, and Node give that extra thing to make a JavaScript the real super language, which is that it's now you are able to run JavaScript off browser. You have your JavaScript runtime in the computer. You have you have the ability now to do all these amazing things that work well in the browser now in your computer. Um, I'm not sure currently what engine Java Node uses. I'm thinking it should be BI, but we can explore more about that. So many people think that Node.js is a framework or a kind of language. I seen that classified as a language, and that sounds weird to me. I don't want to be super strict here, but for example, for me, even TypeScript, it's not another language. It's just an interpretation of JavaScript. Even JavaScript, that's weird, because when you get in deep, JavaScript, it's not a language. It's like the interpretation of the ECMAScript language. So that's kind of weird. But again, let's not get heavy with things here with definitions. The main idea is that we know you have now the ability to run it to run to execute to compile. If that sounds familiar to you, it's not precisely correct for the JavaScript example, but gives you the idea to, sorry, it gives you the ability to use JavaScript on your computer, not only on the web. I see a comment here about GraphQL. We had the GraphQL session on the morning. Uh, Pachuca Pachanga. What does that mean for you're trying to win extra points, extra Alberto points for the Spanish? I don't get this. But yeah, returning to what we were saying, Node.js, I wanted to say like this brief story um, to give the remark to the importance about the existence of Node.js. Node.js changed the game. Node.js for sure keep JavaScript that extra edge that now it makes it the most used language in the world, the most powerful one, and the one I love. Um, but Node.js is not the only one right now. The creator of Node.js, one of the creators, uh, created now another thing called Dino, which is Node Dino. You get it? And according to him, he corrected all the mistakes that he had on the building of Node.js. So same as, for example, GraphQL. In the morning, we were talking about what's better, API REST or GraphQL. Well, the thing is that GraphQL started or was development thinking of all the errors that REST API had. So if that's completely accurate, the answer should be that GraphQL is of course better than REST, right? But then why REST is still used? Then why we have all the APIs in the world using REST? Why we haven't adopted GraphQL? Well, for some reasons, um, sometimes the advantages of using one instead of the other are not high enough, or means that we need to learn more things that we should want, and etc. Well, REST API, it's a complete standard right now, and I love GraphQL. You can see my passion in the morning, but sadly, I used it just for fun, just just when I want to do my own stuff, because real world scenario in my work, in, well, everywhere else, I just use REST, which is the standard. And well, that happened same with Node and Dino. I don't know any serious developer that it's actually using Dino. It is not because we don't want, because Dino could be great, same as GraphQL. The thing is that lot of others, lot of like the huge standards still Node, and I am hearing a lot about a new one called Bon.js, I think it's the name. And again, they claim to be, well, for example, Dino claims to be 10 times faster than Node.js, and it probably is. And Bond now claims to be 50 times faster than Dino. And well, I am not going to lie. Maybe there are the trademarks, and that could be true. But no one is using that at the moment. That's why I wanted to give you this, how to build an API using Node, because you don't have to worry. Tomorrow, we will not have to change our Node use for Dino or for Bun. You are safe if you learn Node, at least for, I will say, 3 years. But same as GraphQL, don't close yourself to learn these new technologies. Give them a try, start experimenting with them, and when the time comes and all APIs runs on GraphQL, you will be prepared. And when all JavaScript code is implemented using Dino or Bon or the new ones that appears for JavaScript runtime, well, you will be prepared. And that's the real cool thing here. Plus, the big question is, do I have that big differences? I mean, at the end of all, it's just JavaScript, right? Well, that's a big question. So that's the introduction to what Node.js is. And spoiler, you should have Node.js installed on your computer. So I'll give you some time, mm, being while you do that installation if you don't have it yet. And I'm going to read a comment here I see for our friend for Pachuca, it's like a chola, and a pachanga, it's like a party. I like to assume Pachuca Pachanga is a form of party where cholas socialize. Where you heard that? Who told you that? Uh, well, translation it's kind of accurate, but that's not how that works. So Pachuca Pachanga, it's not a common thing to hear in Mexico, but okay, nice try. uh, a party where cholas socialize. That's an interesting idea. So, um, let me let me. I will start sharing my screen. Just give me a second for that. I don't need too much time. And same as in the morning, I prepared a repo for this. At the end of the stream, I'll be sharing the link to GitHub. But that's it, right? So please pay focus to the explanation. If you have any question, let me know, and then we can start. Present. Okay, you should see my screen now. Cool. And let's open this steps.md. Okay. Um, let's open a preview view to make this beautiful. Build an API with Node. Well, now we understand what Node is. If you haven't installed it yet, you can find the installation instructions here, which takes you to. Oh, I wanted to op- open here, but it opened the, um, the window where I am hosting the StreamYard. But here, Node.js.r. It's the JavaScript everywhere. It's JavaScript runtime environment that lets you develop careers, blah blah blah. This is the important thing. Run JavaScript everywhere. Hmm, that an interesting thing. Well, here you need to download this. It depends on which system you are. Instructions can change, but the thing here it's important. What does Node have in order to create an HTTP server, in order to write tests, in order to read and hash from a file, in order to stream a pipeline, in order to work with threads? Well, Node indeed have, let me open the docs, some pre-built functions, uh, models that can help you manipulate many things. Same as Python, for example, you can think of a way of accessing your files, your file system, a way of um, access peripheral, the computer ports. Well, a lot of things that you couldn't imagine before that it was possible with JavaScript. But they are. Um, let's see, for example, here the HTTP one, which is the one we are going to use. So HTTP give us agents. Well, documentation here. Okay, ready. To use HTTP server client, we need to require the HTTP module. HTTP interface Node.js. Um, the interface, sorry, of HTTP is designed to support many features of the protocol, the HTTP protocol, to make our work simpler. So this is like an abstraction to help us create interaction with the HTTP protocol. So let's get examples on how, for example, we create an HTTP class that has the get method on it, that has the post, and well, and many other options. To be honest, I don't love Node.js documentation, but over time you learn how to inspect this. But well, this is just an example that I wanted to show. You have HTTP, HTTP2, and HTTPS, the inspectors, the path, for example. Um, I want to the process ones, the read line, the streams, URL, B8. Yeah, so I was wondering about this, but here's the B8. So and exposes the API specified version of built into the Node.js binary. Yeah, so internally Node.js it's using V8. I was just trying to confirm. I didn't want to lie to you. Um, but yeah, you can access the engine actually with this interface. Plus, you can create add-ons for those C++ and C lovers. A lot of JavaScript things actually, and well, for to be honest, for many other languages, they are built in C. So C developers are the actual um, grandfathers of all the code we have, and over that there are many other languages, but C is for the modern languages. So nothing else to say. This is Node.js. Many of you should be already familiar with this. If that's new to you, well, I hope this was a good introduction. And if you already knew Node and you already have built on it, or you have already used it for other things, well, it's good to know what you're doing. So we have install node, and another thing that comes with the node installation, it's node package manager npm. So you need to init in the file in the folder your step on. You need to init your project running npm init dash y, and that's just for you to help save some clicks, some enters that will create the declaration of the scripts, the name, the version, the keywords, the author, the license, descriptions, and everything. So what else? Let's see. Check your project. Well, you should have the package.json file in your folder like this, and the package.json log.json. This helps you for handling the dependencies. This far, we haven't added any dependencies yet. And the first thing is we are going to create a server. To do that, you can create a new file called server.js. I do this running touch server.js on the terminal, but you can do it however you want. And inside of that, first we're going to make sure that the H module is required. This is the one we were talking about to create a simple server that listens the port 300. Um, 3000, sorry, and returns a list of the users when we get when we make a get request to API slash users. How will we do that? Well, we require this HTTP model from Node. So you may see we haven't installed anything yet at this point. This already comes with Node. We don't need any other package. We don't need any other library. We don't need anything. We just need uh, the built-ins of Node, right? So now we have the HTTP. HTTP has a method that it's called very verbose create server. And for this create server, we pass a function. This function ends right here. Well, here, so we have the callback function that when a request is set, we send the response headers to content type, access the control origin to prevent cores and everything. Well, this is more of the HTTP protocol, indeed, more than anything that has to do with Node or API REST. But yeah, so if the request URL it's this API slash users, well, we set users as name. Well, we set users as the name in an ID. We set the status as 200, and we end the request with the stringify of the users, a JSON stringify. Else, we throw a 404. That means, hey, that route, that endpoint you're requesting, we don't know what it is. And we respond with a status code 404. You know about this, right? Uh, and a message, hey, route don't found. We serve the port and we listened on the port we established. Is this code located online? I will load it at the end of the session. I will create a repo and share with you. Don't worry. Then we need to run our server, and then we need to test that our server is working, right? So we create a test.js file that, well, actually, you can do this many ways. I mentioned that you can use Postman or any other API testing tool. There is another called Insomnia. But even from your terminal, you can just call and make the request directly. But a very friendly way to do it using, of course, JavaScript is using the fetch API. So I do fetch the URL, then the response as a JSON, and then the console log of the data I received. So I created that server, yes. Just let me modify this because I created this with Joe Doe and Jane Smith, very basic way, but Alberto Camarena and Daniela Lopez should be the names we want to create. That's it. So for running JS file in Node, you can type Node and the name of the file, which is server.js. And now our server is running on port 3000. In another terminal, we are going to clear this. In another terminal, we are going to run this this test JS file that goes to API users and show us the information. But let's do a mistake on purpose. So let's see how this fails successfully. And node test.js. And the message is route not found. If we could inspect the full response of this, and this was not just the response that JSON data and the error, we can see the code actually for this. It's a 404. Again, we can open Postman or Insomnia or something like that to test the endpoints, whatever. But for the purpose, this works perfectly. So this is because we are missing an S that the road pattern was matching. So in this case, we save, we run again, and the output is Alberto Camarena and Daniela Lopez with ID 1 and ID 2. That's exactly what we're expecting, right? Because that's what we define it here on the API users. But if you see this code, this is not this has not a big um, opportunity to escalate. This probably will start getting kind of tricky if we try to implement more routes, because this is inside an if, right, and then else. So if I want to add another possibility, I need to add another if and then another if, and well, I can switch it at some point for a switch, but that's not a good practice. uh, so Alberto, what we do? Well, we have a great thing here, which is a library called Express.js. You probably heard of this. So, in this part 2, we are going to add Express. So, now we do need to install a package. Using the Node Package Manager, run install Express in your terminal, and that will give you something like this in your package.json. You will see a new dependency added here that it's Express and the version of it, right? So we need to modify now our server.js file in order to add Express. And this will be the code. I have done it, and I done it in server2.js file for you to have both when I upload this to GitHub. But see how we now require Express instead of the HTTP module, and then we initialize our app. To do so, we just need to execute Express, and now the application is stored on our const. This application now has all the functionalities of our server. That means setting middlewares in Express when you want to set a middleware, which is what happens between the request and the response. You use method, and here we just use this middleware to to set the headers. A very common middleware is to set the course middleware, but we're going to just test it on local, so not need to do that in this example. And then, for example, here we use get, which is now the verb we want to set, and for get to the root API to slash users, we set the status, the response status to 200, and we send in a JSON stringify the users. But users, it's now declared on a global on a global variable for this. So if we want to handle other routes, we use this this app.use method that declares that anything that does not matches this, that means if we don't do a get to this route, that will be a response status 404 and a message route not found. So let's now shut our first server down. You do that with Control C to end a process in the terminal. And now we run node server 2.js. Okay, now port it's running. We changed to the other terminal. Let's change something here. Uh, um, Instead of Alberto Camarena and Daniela, we are going to add a new member, and that will be Luis Sanchez, which it's a very cool name and a friend of mine. So same in the test, we need to point to API 2 slash users. And well, let's fail on purpose again to see what's happening here. Node.js, node, sorry, test. And the answer is root not found. Well, let's complete this. Failing or purpose was correct. And we're missing Luis, right? So maybe this is something about the the server. We need to run this again. Maybe I do the change after um, no before. Yeah, I do it before, I think. Okay, okay. Now server is running again, and there it is. Yeah, I needed to restart the server, but yeah, we have now the answer as we wanted, and you have now two ways of run servers. You have done it using pure Node.js, and you have done it using Express. So, Alberto, that's it. Am I backend developer? Well, the answer is no, because there's a lot of things you need to learn past this. But this is a really cool. This is a really cool thing, because imagine this: you have now created an API, an application public interface. So you have now the ability to share all your data, to share some things. If someone performs a get to your endpoints, you can share whatever information you may have in whatever DB you have in you can trigger actions, you can do a lot of things. uh, you created now a way in which you can communicate with the world in a programmatic way. You're a developer now. Congratulations. um, but yeah, if you were in today's session about GraphQL, you probably saw that we took a lot of more of time for doing this, and that's not because GraphQL is worse than these API um, in the REST format. That's only because having the background for running all of that, it's it gets more time. But in the long term, when you want to change things here, for example, let's say that this simple change we just performed, I wanted to add another user, and I wanted to, I don't know. I want to change this. This is no more API 2. This is API just like that, and has a versioning. So if I want this to be 2, what happens? It returns another thing. And it is implemented in the version 3 a pagination, because now we have many users that a single load takes forever. So we need to paginate in order to split times and have it faster. But now you need to change the endpoints, the deploy. You need to change how front will consume it, because now it is not going to match with any endpoint that exists. And if they want to match it with the newest version, they have to change. If you want to make complicated, well, not say complicated, more complex requests, for example, in a get via passing parameters or passing queries or passing another things, that's super complicated. Well, I don't want to lie, it's not that super complicated, but it gets complicated, and that's the work of a backend. Um, well, thanks to the help of GraphQL, that that gets easier over the time. You don't have to you don't have to versionate, because you actually just ask for what you need, and answers keep working. And well, see the stream for GraphQL. But is that it? Is that all for Node? Well, since we have more time for this stream, because at this point we already completed what we wanted to achieve, that it's building an API. This technically is an API. Uh, well, we need to go to our next step, which is adding a database. Alberto, it does Express is compatible with Mongo? Yes. Does Express with does Node it's compatible with MariaDB? Yes. Does this API I just built is compatible with our very favorite here at the Major League, Cockroach DB? Yes. Does this is compatible with Redis? Yes. Actually, I think I was explaining in the morning. It's that when you do a great server, a great backend, you abstract all these in separated files, so you have the ability to change the database and just change the way the server consumes the data and pass it to the same endpoints without having to change the API. And same the other way. I was mentioning it. Well, in the API, you just have REST and that's it. But no, you can change it to schemas of GraphQL. So think of this now. If you have the project that already does this on REST API, change it for GraphQL without having to change the database. Well, in this case, first we need to add a database, right? So let's start exploring how we can do that. I am going to use Firestore. So in this case, oh, this is wrong. Let me correct this. It is not Firebase. It is firebase.admin. And let's create a new file that will be called server3.js. Just let me look for something. Yeah, it's Firebase admin. Yeah, I confirm this is Firebase admin. Let me change this code because this is not what we want. And yeah, thanks, Copilot, but I have the other code right here. And we need to paste it here. And we need to add this or to our server 3 here. So admin requires Firebase admin. This is installed via package manager. So I have installed this far. Same, we create our app with Express. We initialize our Firebase admin account. This is by running the well, this you have to change with your service account key.json. I will show you how I created mine. So give me a second. Let me open the Firebase console. And again, it is not mandatory for you to do this with Firebase Store. This is just, I am very fan of Google technologies, and Firebase, I think it's really quick to develop and really easy to experiment new things. We can change this later at whatever point we want. So Firebase console, Just look for Firebase console on your favorite browser, your favorite way to surf the web, and well, it's kind of slow right now. I think my computer doesn't support many tabs open. But yeah, so we need to go to console, and you will see I have a project called Global Hack Week API. I see a comment of Lol Panda 202. I am new here. Hey, very welcome. This is a session for learning how to build an API with Node.js. It is part of our Global Hack Week here at the Major League Hacking. And well, same as this, we have Global Hack Weeks very often. I cannot say monthly, but we are giving the effort to make it monthly, and it depends on topic of the week. This time we're talking about APIs, application public interfaces. So last week we had machine learning, if I remember well. I'm not sure of it. It was test. I don't remember what past global hack week was, but yeah, as you can see here on the projects, I have many global hack weeks using Firebase. But yeah, let's open this. I think it was video games. Yeah, I think the last streams I run were about video games. Well, okay, you need to create a new project. You need to add here the Firestore database. How you do that, you will see here the projects. Uh, you will see here a tab saying all products. You can click here and select the Firestore product. Remember, this is one of the products that Firebase have. They have authentication, they have performance, crash analytics, cloud messaging, A/B testing, blah blah blah. The one we have right now it's this Cloud Firestore. Make sure to have that added to your project. Once you have added, it should look something like this. Um, Actually, I need to add some collections here. I don't have any collections, but we'll do that. The thing I want to show is that here on the API, we need to go to all project. Oh, no. I wanted to return to the main page. And here you will see something like add an app to your project, or yeah, add an app to your project. Some sentence like that. And here you will be asked for if it is an Apple, it is Android, or it is web. Well, in my case, I click web, and you will be redirected to how you want this application to be called. Well, I have mine already, so I don't do this. But in your case, you need to create that, and then you open your app, and mine it's SoundsDB. Then you need to go to the configurations and go to service account services. This one right here works, but where you when you're using Firebase as what's the name for this? They give it a name that I am not sure what it is right now. Um, Web namespace and web modular API. So you have three ways in web to connect. Oh well, actually, that's kind of tricky. Well, I haven't thought that way, but in web you have two ways: Web Modular API and Web Namespace API. The thing is, we are not connecting via web. Right now, we are developing a server inside our computer. So that means you have to look for the node documentation. Firebase, that's the difference between the package Firebase, just like that, like this one right here, and Firebase slash admin. That's the one we are using. And for that, for using Firebase with Firebase admin, we need to go to the account services. And I think I don't love about Firebase is that Firebase used to be very separated for the GCP console. It was like the small brother of GCP, but right now GCP is putting too much their hands on Firebase. And if we want to get the JSON file, uh, this JSON file I'm talking about, the service account JSON file, we need to go to the GCP to GCP. Um, we can click here on administrate permissions. So we were going to be redirected to GCP console, and we need to look for the tab called service accounts. Doesn't Clerk also provide authentication? I mean, which is better, Firebase or Clerk? I haven't tried Clerk, uh, but I think. Let me look for it. I don't want to lie. Same Clerk. I haven't heard of this, to be honest. But I think it's Firebase provides a lot of functionalities, not only authentication. It provides hosting, provides this database. Um, okay, well, to be honest, that's the top three I used: authentication, hosting, and database. They have more tools. We during the machine learning week we experiment using TensorFlow models on this, but it was for mobile specifically. They need to release that um, for web. Uh, and I don't think that makes a lot of sense because TensorFlow you can run that on web indeed. So I don't know. Um, Clerk, Clerk, Clerk. I didn't even get a. uh, the, I just get like the dictionary meaning of that in Spanish to English, a definition. Yeah, transition click user management clerk user management. Well, based on just SEO, Firebase is better. Okay, Clerk authentication and management. Clerk is a complete suite for embeddable UIs, flexible APIs, and admin to authenticate and manage your users. There you got it. Okay, it's loading. The most comprehensive user manager. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, I haven't heard of this before, but it is interesting. I cannot tell which is better. I think it's up to preferences. It depends on what you're trying to work. There is not only Firebase identification and clerk. There are many, many others. Altivo. You have another that it's called Guardian or something like that. Well, there are many. So whatever fits for you better, it is okay. Well, talking about the account services again, we have inside here or account services. It is very important to have your project selected here. Be sure that it's the project you want. For example, I have other projects. Come on, open. Come on, Google Club. I have the Global Hack Week ML project, for example, or the Angular test project, or the coffee break, or how was it called? Come on, internet connection, it's horrible. Um, come on, come on, come on, come on, load. Well, I just wanted you to show that I have many projects, and it is important to be ensured that the project we are working on is selected here. Else, we need to click here on actions, and we need to administrate keys. Then I have, for example, my key created, but you will have to add a new key. Instead of uploading an existing one, you need to create a new key. And that will give you a JSON file. That JSON file for me, it's here. Um, give me a second. And I am going to paste it here on this folder project. I'm going to change the name, and I'm going to add it to the git ignore. Else, I'm going to click here and copy the relative path. And on our server 3.js, I'm going to paste this path. Then, using this credential, using the admin from the Firebase admin, we initialize our app. The credential it's set as the admin.credential.certification, passing the JSON. Then, using Firestore from the admin of Firebase admin, we create a variable called db. When a get request is set for this, we to the apis.sums. Let's change it to users. I wanted to create a one, let's say for API 3. I wanted to create one for you for songs, but to be honest, I didn't have the time to populate the database with songs information. I have Spotify songs, CSV, and everything, and I tried to create a file for reading that CSV and importing and setting on the database in a programmatic way, but didn't have time. So sorry for that. So I am going to delete this already. But you have the database, the CSV. So if you want to play with it, and well, you have the chance to get the information of that CSV. So changing API tree to users. This is an async function that returns the. Let's change this to. Wow, need to change a lot of things about some users. Users, 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 and users. Else, the root node found, server is running. So awaiting to check on the database collection called users. This will give us a user snapshot. Then for each of these users push, we need the doc.data. Punto. Sorry, that the Spanish in me betrayed me. Um, yeah. Then send the status as 200 and return the user's collection we just generated. Let's see how this works. But first, we need to return to our database file store and start creating that collection because we don't have that. Trust me, I found about it recently and fire. So I'm thinking that's really cool. It's like they provide multiple options to sing in through for users and IG, and it's great for prototypes since they have a free version. But IG, there's a limitation of people who can access. Okay, I will try it. That's a great recommendation for a hackathon then. People go and check out Clerk user management. Cool. So let me see which collection am I trying to access users. So then I need to create a collection called users next field called name and string value Alberto Camarena. Call ID. This should be number geopoint number, and I am the first. And for this, no, I don't want this to be. Let's say age. I'm 24 years old. Wow. And the ID will be automatical for this. And I want to add it to the collection. I want to add another document that will be equally name. Do I put? Yeah, I need to edit this. Oh no, I need to add. Yeah, I'm going to delete age because I put E in uppercase, and I don't like that. 24 again. Then add another document with an automatic ID with name Daniela Lopez, the age field, and she's 23. So here we are, added. So we have a collection with two documents. Let's return to Visual Studio. Um, let's run this server tree, node server tree.js. Port is running on port 3000, node test.js. We didn't found nothing, yeah, because we didn't updated the server. We can close this. We can close this here. It's supposed to be API 3 now. Cool, amazing. Oh, but we have age for Daniela as 23 in a, yeah, in a string. My bad. This should be number. Update. Come on, update yourself. Well, internet's low, but come on. Or cancel if you don't want. Number 23. Upload. Okay. Since we changed that on the database, and this is well, we are searching for this every time we receive the request, and this is an async function. That means we are waiting for a response using the Firebase admin method of the bit collection get. We don't need to restart the server. We just need to run again or fetch call, and we see the change on the response. So this is what I was talking about on difference between the um, the database abstraction and the API abstraction. One thing it's the database, and another thing it's the server, the API. Sorry, the API is the way how you can communicate to the world your database. You know, and what do we want to communicate? Well, in this case, we are passing all the data into document. But if we want to share just the name, well, users names, users const names, const ages. And for each one of these, we are going to console.log the doc.id. No, the doc. What doc the data is, and what doc is, just for me to check. Oh, well, in this case, we changed the server, so we do need to reopen this. well, the console log is here, not on where we are trying to make the request. Here we just get the information, right? The output response. But the log it's on the console of the server, which is this one. Um, so let's see. Query document snapshot dot h refs pod to serialize, and this is the dot. So if I want to do doc dot data dot names name, let's see how that result, just the doc dot data. Again, we need to shut it down and restart it. And make the request again. And here I have just names. So names dot push docs dot those names pages dot push the same. We can close this, and we need to return in users names dot ages. Again, we need to restart this. And the output should be this. You see how we modify the way our endpoint works. Now we return an object containing the users array, the names array, and the ages array. Again, I want you to take a look to the today's session on the morning of GraphQL. Remember how we achieved this? Remember how easy it was once we built our schema and declare our resolvers for the values of these schemas? We didn't have to change anything on server. We just needed to change how we query things. Here, it's the opposite. We don't change the query. The endpoint it's the same. Actually, the test YA's file, we didn't change this. I mean, I could just leave API slash users and leave that route in all the servers, and that will be the same. And that this will run on every server we created. If we want to change something on Rust, sometimes it should require a change on how we consume it. For example, saying like, hey, don't call API tree anymore, just call API slash users, or users, we don't like that, let's call now people or something like that. But there are minor changes, and that's only to feed the route, the endpoint. How you actually change response and how the endpoint and how your data works in an API REST, it's on the server, on the backend. That's a backend word. So this is how to build an API in Node.js. We do it just with Node, vanilla completely, using the HTTP model that is built in Node. We've done it in Express without a database, just uh, creating a variable inside our file. This is hard coded. And then we added a way to we added a way to connect to a database. In my case, it's the Firestore database from Firebase, and access the data in it to display it via the same endpoints that we created. Now I show you also how you can modify these endpoints in order to change the response, in order to add and manipulate the data in between the way from the database to the user. You're here, you're in the middle. You are the API, the application bullet interface. Um, so I want to know if you have any questions regarding these examples. Meanwhile, you type your questions. I am going to upload this to a GitHub repo, and well, that will be it. Just give me a second to see. I have a type error here. What's it? Oh, this one. Okay, cool. I can save this now. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, nice. This is updated now. Cool. Everything looks fine. This is fine, and this is fine. I'm going to close the server here. I see a comment here. I have another question. So, in this session, you are building your own API, but why? What benefits do we get by building and using our own API? No offense, haha, I am new to Balkan overall. Oh, don't worry. Yeah, I didn't take it as an offense. You probably this far have worked with existing APIs. And I am talking about those APIs specifically that helps you. Uh, let me just stop sharing my screen so I can talk with you directly. Oh yeah, much better. So you may be talking about these APIs that helps you to connect with data. For example, the one we use in the morning, the Rick and Morty API that gives you the information of all characters, all episodes of all spaces, starships, and everything. The Star Wars API, the Pokemon API, things like that, right? But when you start working on your own projects, not with mock data, but with real data, imagine that, for example, you don't want to delegate Clark for doing the authentication. How you can store the information of your clients, of your users. You need to make a collection in a database, a file, or whatever database you're using that contains information regarding a certain type of user. So you can call it client, you can call it user, whatever you want. And you need to store email, a password, a username, maybe some things like that. And not only the idea of accessing it, but an API. In this case, we only used get, but APIs gives you the opportunity to add new members. That could be a good addition. Why not? We have time. Let's add an endpoint for doing a post, which is the correct type for doing that. Sorry, the correct verb for doing that operation to add a new member to our collection, and then we can modify it with put. And at some point, the user maybe want to sign off permanently of your services. That means you need to delete it. Put delete, create, and get. That's your CRUD. Create, read, update, and delete, right? That's different names, but the verb name for that it's put, create, delete, and get. Oh, it can help in confidentially for our real user data. Not only in confidentially. I just this was just an example. What I want to say here is that you need to manipulate your own data. You need to possess your own data, not only for confidentiality, but you need to start working with databases, and in databases you need to store your own data. That's it, because you are not going to create applications for pokemons or for characters for a TV series. You are going to create applications for real users, and real users have real names, and these it's not there is nowhere in internet where you can create or get access to this information. You will have to ask for them. And when you create these applications, the first thing you may do is ask for this information to the user. The user gives you this information, and you need to store it. Using the API, you store that information, making post the first time when you create of the CRUD, create, see, you post this to your database. Sorry. Then you need to read it, because you need to display to the user, hey, this is your data as you give it to me. You get it. That's the correct verb. Then maybe the user wants to update it, the U, in terms of verb. The correct verb for this is put. And in other times, you want to delete it. This time, the action and the verb is the same. Delete and delete the verb for this, and you need to delete it from your database. That's the CRUD of the APIs. That's how all application works. Most all application. Well, I don't want to generalize, but the great majority of applications have the ability to perform these four operations over their data. How you can do this: if you have many endpoints to read your database because you want to search, because you want to display this information with these fields specifically, because you want to paginate, because you want to apply a query, because well, there you can perform many gets. You can perform many puts. You can post new characters with information differently. You can post. You can have one post per document, per collection, per that's how you want to build the architecture of your application. But what I want to say is, at least you will have these four. If you want to perform five gets, two deletes, one get, and three posts, I don't know. That's up to you. That's how you manage your data. But having the ability to perform these four, that creates the CRUD, and that's the basic of an API. Uh, I hope for the woe that solves your question. And as I was saying, we still have time. Let me present my screen again. To add a post example. So not only we need to our great friend Postman, sorry, Copilot is going to help us with this. Handle post request for API user. So amazing. Now we have the post. If we post to API tree/users, the request body should give us the user indeed, and this user will be added to the user collection, and just the status is going to be set as 201, and the message will be user created. So let's modify our test. So we need to create the fetch to this method post headers body temperature type. Amazing. Copilot is our greatest friend. And in honor to you, let's call this lol panda, and the age is 202 years. So let's save this. Let's get our server up and running, and then we can perform this example node test API. Oh, we have an error. Fetch fail. Okay, let me fetch input. It's the URL, the options is set as post body. It's JSON string file log panda, then blah blah. Okay, let's try again. Type error. Oh, this is a type error. Object that fetch internal as completed. That's an old panda. I don't know how old. Oh, the problem is here. It's on server. New data. It's not a valid file store document. Okay, okay. So the problem is here. I'm guessing argument data is not a valid file store document. Request body JSON dot parse, maybe here. Okay, this crashed again. Let me look for the documentation very quickly. Mhm. So we are running db.collection.add. Mm. Maybe I'm missing something that's not of Firestore, but this is for middleware to parse the bodies as JSON. Yeah, exactly. So the app that use, as I was saying, express that JSON. So then I don't need to parse this here, and maybe that's the issue. I'm not completely sure. Let me try again. Okay, yeah, it was that. So if we come back, the server is still running. The message it's the user is created, so completely fine this far. So let's see here, and well, we see we have another document, Daniela, Alberto. Okay, that's Alberto Camarena. It's me, and this should be Load Panda. Yeah, exactly. Load Panda Edge, the age, and so that's it. Actually, uh, then we can add, uh, for example, handle put request with the ID dynamic. So in this case, the param ID tells us that if we change the ID of this document, we can change the name or something. But for that, we need first to have the ID. I'm guessing that's mean this ID. So let's add another example here. This is going to be a put lol panda. And if you say this is a very big age, let's change it to just 22. The ID here should be this. So let me copy and paste it here. So this should work, I think. Let's run the server again. If you're tired of shutting on and off the server, there's a very cool thing called No Demon that you should try. Um, for educational reasons, this doesn't make sense right now, but let's explore. Let's see. And the message. What's the message? User updated. Okay. Okay, user updated. So if we go back to our file, we see now the age of Lol Panda changed. It's now 22. And you saw I didn't change it here. I can. I mean, I can come here and change it to 200 again and actualize. Update, sorry. And but if I come here back again and run my script, if I return, it's again 22 because I set it to be 22 here on the test.js file. If I want it to be back to 202 again, change it here on code and rerun the exact code. Here I have it. But you know what? Enough of this lol panda. Nothing personal, friendo. But now I want to delete the document with this ID I am passing as a param of the query, right? So if I come back here and I create a new fetch and I delete, well, you know what comes next. Comment this, delete this, and restart the server. And we see user deleted. We return to our database and no more lower panda. So let me stop sharing my screen and very quickly. Meanwhile, you write some questions you may have here on the comment section. I'm getting here. I'm going to put this on a GitHub repo and share it with you. Then go. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Okay, I have it ready. So here's the repo. github.com/alberto47 global Hapwick API node CRUD. And that's all. Thanks. Let me see if I have any questions around. Thank you. That's an old panda. Yeah. Oh, this is cool. Thanks. I'm glad you like it. Yes, it is. Now I'm going play around with Fireworks. This be cool. Yes, Fireworks is cool. I'm glad you like it. I will rewatch this because I had a little familiarity with JS and Node. Don't worry. If you want, whenever have a question, post it on the Discord, and if not me, anyone of the community will happily help you. If I'm around, I happily help you. Same here, but the logic was easy to understand. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Overall session was informative. I love to explore Node. Yes, I am more of a data person, ETL side. I find this concept challenging. Alberto, which tech you mostly use at your current work, if you don't mind? I currently work as a front-end developer um, in a startup, and we used mostly we used Angular for all. But the main advantage of working in a startup is that you don't have a concrete role. So it is not like, hey, you do Angular and nothing else. I end up doing a lot of more things that, yeah, can be challenging, but also it's very exciting and gives me a really cool opportunity to explore new things. For example, for the games API, I talk about WebGL and Play Canvas, which is a game engine for JavaScript. And I knew that before, thanks to the work, because we wanted to implement a game inside the application we were building. I currently doing automatization of process in GitHub Actions. So I currently I'm doing a lot of scripting, plus I am implementing testing on where I work. So as you can say right now, I'm a DevOps, which I am not, of course, but I end up doing a lot of things, and I really love that about my work. But yeah, if I have to say something easy, um, Angular for frontend. That's what I do for a living. Thank you very much, Roberto. This cover for some foundational information. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, exactly. I work at Bigo. Could you say in order to the tech stack you learn? Oh my God! In order, um, my huge, huge recommendation is try to focus on the things you want to do. If you want to do web, JavaScript. If you want to do artificial intelligence, JavaScript. If you want to do mobile, JavaScript. If no, yeah. Jokes apart, what I try to say is, of course, be clear of what you want. And for me, JavaScript was the way. So then I started to learn JavaScript indeed, learn how it works, what's the event loop, how it queue process, what are the primitive variables, values, the primitive types. The main idea here is to understand the foundations. So it is easy once you understand the foundations. For example, this work I am talking about, Bigo, I started without knowing Angular. Before I was a React developer, but as I mentioned on the technical interview, it doesn't matter changing from one stack to another, from one um, library to another framework. Meanwhile, you know the basics of what you're programming. In this case, we are programming JavaScript. If that applies to you for data in Python, well, that's it. The fundamentals, the foundations, the basics of all technologies gives you the stronger, the more knowledge you need for your way in the future. So don't worry about trying to learn the hottest topic at the moment. For example, again, sorry for talk about JavaScript a lot, but that's the thing I know more. You don't need to learn Svelte instead of React. You don't need to learn Bond instead of Node. You just need to really understand what's happening and how your tool works. In this case, my tool is JavaScript. If yours is Python, that's really cool. But really understand how Python works, how the trash collector works, if Python is compiled or if it's interpreted or if it's flowed. There are kind of tricky ways there, but yeah, that's my recommendation here. Don't focus too much on the stack. Focus more on getting to know the fundamentals of what you're trying to do. I visited their landing page. The UI was impressive. Oh, thank you so much. I didn't work on that landing page, but I'm pretty sure the team will appreciate that. So I see no more comments here, no more questions. It was a really pleasure to be here. I really enjoyed this session, and thanks for being so participative here on the comments. Um, in the starting years, it is challenging to find what should I do in tech. Yeah, I do agree with that. Once you start exploring, you're starting loving something, and then you transition to other roles. That's how things happen in tech. It is evolving, but the fundamentals are the same. I think strong fundamentals is vital. I cannot agree more with you, Pranav. So thank you so much. um, Again, have a good night or a good start of the day if it is your case. And it was a pleasure to be here. See you tomorrow for Today in Global Hack Week. Bye.